And some people, I wanted to bring this up too. Some people are like, Stephen, why are you talking about this? What gives you right to talk about this? Well, I think the timing's right. And you know that we've had private conversations about Sean for a long time. I mean, we're talking about going back to the 2010s, like the mid 2010s. I had serious concerns with Sean.
Yeah, we saw things.
Yeah, like the Lord was showing us some things.
Like, I shouldn't say saw. I should say discerned things.
Just to be honest with you, I felt, he was either a false prophet or he had like serious issues.
We all do.
Going back to like the mid 2010s. I had some dreams. I had some revelation from the Lord. And I actually told someone, I was just talking to one of, guys that we knew from back in the day, when we were taught. I was just talking with him the other day, and he brought it up again. He's brought it up before about how in 2017, I brought it up to him and I told him, Sean is not safe, stay away from him. And he just, just like, what are you talking about? How could you even utter those words?
Sacred cow in the prophetic movement.
Exactly. I touched a sacred cow. Yeah. And even Rick Joyner brought it up actually in the letter he sent out against us in September of 2019, how I was just such a horrible person because I had mentioned Sean Bowles behind the scenes to a friend of mine, never publicly, right? I never said anything publicly because I didn't feel it was my place to say it. At that time. But now I believe the reason why we're talking about now is because I believe the Lord has made it public. Mm-hmm. The Lord has finally brought it out because he said that if you don't deal with your sins, eventually Jesus said it's going to be shouted from the rooftop, I mean, that should make us all fear the Lord, right?
Yeah.
That we should keep short accounts with the Lord and we should just not go on sinning, expecting for the mercy of God to have no limits, eventually, especially if you're hurting other people. I do believe the Lord gives grace. He's so patient. He's so loving. And God has given Sean Bowles literally years to repent, years to make it right.
And that is mercy.
That is the mercy of God.
Yeah.
It becomes unsanctified mercy where we just allow it to go on and on forever without ever addressing it. Yeah. And once again, the sin, okay, I don't know. I want to ask your opinion about this. Okay. I think it is a grievous sin to lie in the prophetic, right? Like, I don't think it's just like a tiny thing.
Do you want to talk about Ananias and Sapphira?
Yeah, right there. That's the verse that keeps coming up. Some people read that, they're like, it's no big deal. It's like, they're just giving a little fib. But to God, lying.
It says it's witchcraft.
Yeah, I don't know if it says it specifically in Acts 5.
Somewhere in there.
But definitely bearing false witness can be connected to witchcraft.
Yes.
Obviously.
That's what I meant. Not like.
But I just think, Amanda, you're a prophetic worship leader. We have a love for the prophetic. We've been in the prophetic almost all of our lives. I know you have been, right? And to me, it's just such a sacred responsibility, a solemn responsibility to stand before God's people, to be a representative of the voice of God. And people are in such a place of vulnerability when they're standing there in front of everybody and you're giving them supposedly this detailed information about their life. And then they take your prophecy and go and make major life-altering decisions like that Jubilee Dawn girl, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Who went and married a guy based off of what Sean said, and I just think it is a grievous sin. You are messing with people's lives here, and I think the severity of the sin calls for serious action.
Yeah.
Serious action on behalf of Sean and on behalf of leaders, because Amanda, there are tens of thousands of people feeling violated right now, violated all over the world, and they have been violated.
Yeah.
And it is not a joking matter.
It's like a kid finding out Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except this is dealing with God. This is dealing with holy, sacred things in the Church of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So the severity of the sin, I just think that the response from many leaders is inappropriate. It is inadequate. Many of them, I believe, are derelict in their duty, and I don't know if you can notice, but I feel that fire right now, even as I'm talking about it, because issues of injustice really touch my heart.
Yeah. going into ministry, we had like years ago, we had this conversation of like what our heart, goal, and purpose is in ministry, and we just want to keep the main thing, and that's
Amen.
God, and purity, and that just expands across every category: prophetic, prayer, intercession, all of that. Like, so yeah, it's like that's where our protective, our maternal and paternal instincts kick in, and it's like these are not just brothers and sisters, but these are our children that we're raising up, and
these are God's children. They're being heard,
and people that and then I think where it touches a personal spot in me is the whole, we were a part of Morning Star.
Yeah.
And right before we exited Morning Star, our boys were of the age where they could start going on
the youth group,
to that men's group where those boys were.
The teenage boys groups, the special forces group.
And our boys expressed interest. I'm like, that'd be great. But then it was like the Lord just let us kind of just separated us from Morning Star, and so now, like, when I hear about stuff and I hear that certain leaders knew that was going on, and
for those of you who don't know, there's some people that don't know. The group that Amanda's referring to was led by a man, a leader who was the son of the chief security person at Morning Star, and this leader ended up sexually molesting teenage boys in that group at Morning Star, and he's like currently in prison now. He's been tried and convicted. And now those families of those teenage boys are suing Rick and Morning Star. But anyways, it really hits home for you because our boys, you said, expressed interest in going to that group.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
I get very, very angry. And then what gets me even more hot and riled up is knowing that it was addressed, knowing that certain people knew, but didn't say anything. I'm like, you're just guilty. If you didn't commit a crime, but you knew about it and you didn't address, then you're just as guilty. And it's just frustrating.
And I don't know about the particular details about that circumstance. Rick Joyner says that they did alert the police the moment they found out. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know this. I know that Rick Joyner has been brought before this in the past in my mind were credible accusations of sexual abuse, just abuse, period, at Morning Star. And time again, he has either turned a blind eye, minimized it, turned it around on people, and made like the victims into the perpetrators. And it's just not okay.
Yeah.
So
it's repetitive behavior.
Yes, it is. It's a pattern.
Yeah.
And there is a culture at Morning Star of abuse. And, I say it's not safe.
Yeah. There's conversations, and I have this with our daughter all the time. Like, well, they're like this. It's like, okay, was this a one-off thing, or do you see a pattern? Has this happened before? And that's how you can be like, you want to address your relationships with wisdom and grace. Mm-hmm. And if it is a pattern, then you probably need to address it and distance yourself. Or, like I said, people, if you address it, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know you're doing something, I would want to know, like, hey, you kind of do this thing. I'd be like, I would want to correct it.
Yeah.
But it's really sad when authority people just think they can't be corrected or they don't need correction. And I'm not saying all authority people have that attitude.
Well, that's one of the problems.
What we've seen. Yeah.
In the charismatic church, there seems to be some people that are uncorrectable. Rick Joyner just does whatever he wants, it seems. Says whatever he wants. The craziest things. I
think that's where our generation is like we've lost respect because where we give our respect is when our leaders will be like, I got that wrong. I'm so sorry. And we see that they're trying. We don't see the try. We just, if your words are empty and there's no movement behind it where you're turning and you're trying and you're
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some cases, yeah. I mean, it seems like some leaders can't even lift a finger to try to help with this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, even the situation that came up in 2019, like there were a bunch of leaders that, as far as I remember, that were called to ask the help, and they just didn't want to be involved. They just didn't want to do anything. And I understand you have to
Yeah,
pick your battles,
you do.
that you can't die on every hill, you know, and people are busy and they've got mandates from the Lord.
And
but
it's
I think these
Yeah.
are serious issues that we need more leaders to pick up the mantle, to pick up the burden,
right.
you know, because nothing's going to change if we keep having people turn a blind eye and say, well, I'm about my own ministry, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I mean, and some of these leaders that are saying this are like on the boards of the abusive ministers. It's just unacceptable, you know?
Yeah.